and welcome to the Doctor Janine Show. I'm so happy to have you all here today. Happy 4th of July to all of my friends south of the border. It's so great that you are tuning in today. Thank you for sharing today's live as well with your friends. And please say hello and where you are all from. I have a great show for you today. I'm so excited. We're coming back to the beauty set, so we're going to come back here. We are going to be working with aloe, which we know is so fantastic for the skin. So I've got a great hack and a recipe for you. We're going to be making this a little bit later in the show. We have our quiz questions coming up, of course, as well. And we are talking leptin resistance, but also lectins. I had some questions about that, so we're going to be focusing in on that today as well. We're going to be talking about the difference between oat milk and almond milk. This is something that came up in last week's show, so we're going to be discussing that and talking about instant headache relief. I've got a great hack for you using acupuncture, and we're going to be doing that together. Well, we won't be using needles, so don't worry. If you've got a needle phobia, you don't have to worry about that. And we're going to be talking about the best foods for energy as well, to give you loads of energy. And no, it doesn't contain caffeine, and there's no sugar as well. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that. Now, if you did miss last week's episode, I shared a fantastic ab exercise. How many of you tried it? Please put it in the comments and say hello, hello from Colorado, Ravi girl, nice to see you. And hello in Wyoming, KRH2 Omen, nice to see you. Joy, it's nice to see you as well. Thanks for tuning in. And Ludovic, nice to see you. Thank you, thank you. Questions about chronic gastritis? Well, if we can get there, we will. Stay tuned because I do take some time to answer your questions as well. I do my best. And hello, nice to see you. Kathy, hello. Anna, nice to see you. Melissa, nice to see you. And Liz, hello in the UK. Good morning. It's great to see you. Well, I guess it's afternoon in the UK right now. Now, if you missed last week, we did ab exercises. We talked about oil pulling and how that's so great for your dental health and your teeth, as well as the benefits of matcha. So how many of you love your matcha? Say hello, put a 1 in the comments if you were able to try the ab exercises, because I'm really curious if you were watching last week's show. I want to know that you have been trying that great exercise, as well as we talked about gastritis last time. So if you did miss it, and I know some questions already came up about gastritis, we talked about that last week. You can reference last week's show, and leptin resistance. And we talked about tips for eczema as well, which was amazing. Okay, now, it's going to be a great show. Thank you for sharing today's live as well. And in Johannesburg, South Africa, Natalie, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in today. It's so great to have you all here. I'm Dr. Janine, naturopathic doctor. We talk all things natural and, of course, how to heal yourself from the inside out. Now, let's talk a little bit about leptin resistance and lectins, because a lot of people confuse those two topics, leptins versus lectins. We will be talking about headache relief in just a few moments, so stay tuned for that. But let's do a quick review about what is going on here with leptin resistance. So this is a hormonal issue. This is what can cause weight gain or a lot of weight loss as well if it's affecting your thyroid. It causes a lot of inflammation in the body, so aches and pains, and your circadian rhythms being out of sync. So it can cause a lot of end-stage diseases because of your leptin resistance, which is a problem. And it's something that I share a lot about in my different social media posts, so make sure you're checking it out. But really quickly, leptin is something that is secreted. It's a hormone secreted by our fat cells, but also there's new research, and I'm going to share that it is also secreted by some of our organs, so not just the fat cells. But that leptin now can cause inflammation, and what happens is that when that inflammatory process is happening, now we have something called leptin resistance, because that leptin is not being read properly by our brain cells, and that is going to cause us to want to eat more food. And that's how we can get that weight gain, because we're craving those carbohydrates, especially now our blood sugar is going to be erratic. That can then lead to that insulin resistance, which of course is a problem. You're overeating, you're gaining more weight. And now we have increased leptin. So now we have, again, more inflammation, more of that resistance, more craving for even more food, more weight gain, more fat cells, more leptin, and get more and more resistant. This is a big problem. And that's going to cause a lot of different issues with, of course, other hormones as well. So that's really important. So that is leptin. Now, there's something else that's been found very recently in terms of leptin, and the new research shows that it's also involved in neurogenesis. So that is the making of new neurons and neuroprotection. So that's really important. There's something called central leptin resistance, and that is related to some neurological disorders like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So this is important. So as much as I always am focusing in on the hormones, balancing hormones for both men and women, I talk about the weight gain and getting that extra weight off because of the leptin resistance, and I talk about the inflammation, but some of that inflammation can be happening in the brain and affecting brain health as we age. So this is really important. Again, circling back why we have to fix our leptin resistance. And I've got different tips on social media how to do that, so make sure you check them out. And it's so great to have you here. Liz from Kentucky, nice to see you. Attitudes by Angie, hello, nice to see you. It's great that you're tuning in. Hacks Hugh from London, thank you for tuning in. It's great to see you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And, I want to say Art by Celeb, thank you. I loved that piece that you did of me. So yeah, fantastic post. Thank you so much for posting that. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amazing, amazing. Hello in South Africa, Morwezi. Nice to see you. Daniel from Kenya. Hello, hello. And it's so great to have you all here. It's making me think I have to learn all these different languages so that I can actually say hello in these languages. I'm going to work on that, actually, to be honest, in my spare time, which I have very little of. Okay, now let's talk about lectins. So we just covered leptins and leptin resistance. What are lectins and foods that are high in lectins? So lectins are proteins that are bound to carbohydrates. So certain foods can be high in lectins. It's not the same as leptin, okay? And heat helps to destroy these lectins, so that's a good thing. But the lectins in the diet, if they're not destroyed, is not good for people who have autoimmune disorders. So for instance, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Graves' disease, these are things that can affect the thyroid, but when you've got a lot of lectins in the diet, this can be problematic. It's inflammatory to the system and can aggravate what's going on here. Now, some very healthy foods are high in lectins. So let's talk about the foods that are high in lectins that you may not have suspected. Number one, quinoa. So quinoa is touted as a health food. However, the ancient Incas would prepare their quinoa by doing a special fermentation and cooking process to help to decrease the lectins. So that's important that you know that, because it's usually not something that we do when we're consuming quinoa. So if you do have a lot of autoimmune issues, maybe quinoa is not the best food. Another one, raw peanuts, cashews. So raw nuts, especially these two varieties, which are actually legumes, if they're roasted, it's okay. So peanut butter typically would be better and lower in lectins because the peanuts are roasted, or cashew butter. I try not to eat cashews for different reasons, but yeah, maybe that's another topic for another week. But yeah, not the healthiest. But yes, organic peanut butter, probably okay in terms of lectins, but yes, the raw peanuts, not so good. Corn, soy, especially if they are genetically modified. You've heard me talk about glyphosate and GMO foods in the past. These are particularly high in lectins because guess what? The lectins make the foods more resistant to the pests. And this is a big problem, and that's why another reason why it can be very inflammatory for the gut. So if you have IBS and types of issues, autoimmune issues, of course the lectins are not your best friend. And the nightshade group of vegetables, so this is your peppers, your eggplants, potatoes, tomatoes, especially the seeds and the peel of these fruits. Well, we know that tomato is a fruit, can be problematic with the lectins. Now, once they're cooked, then of course the lectins are reduced. So I want you to take a quick screenshot of this so that you've got it. And then we're gonna move on and we're gonna be talking about things that, we're sharing our viewer spotlight. So every week we shout out someone who's shared some great positive feedback on the channel. And I want to call out Gloria Gates 6976. Thank you so much, Gloria, for writing in. And she said, I have put into practice many of the things you say to do, and I am feeling and doing so much better at 72 years of age. I never thought I'd be able to move and feel like I do now. Thank you. Well, thank you, Gloria. Thank you. It's amazing amazing that you were able to share that fantastic information. Thank you, and continue to share all of your great feedback as you are writing into us here at the Dr. Janine Show. It's so great to have you here. Hello. Hello from Michigan, Lucinda, nice to have you here. And yeah, peace. Yeah, a lot of people think that quinoa is healthy. It may be if it goes through the right process with that fermentation and cooking it, but maybe not the best thing. It's so great to have you all here. Thank you for sharing today's live as well. And happy 4th of July to all of my American friends. It's great to have you here. Thank you. Okay, so now I want to share an instant headache relief tactic that you can do at home. We will be talking about the best foods for energy in just a moment, but this is something that is great for any type of headache. So that could be migraines, it could be tension headaches, it could be cluster headaches, any type of head issue really. There is a specific acupuncture point which is amazing to be able to relieve those headaches. So all you're going to do is look at your hand, left or right, it doesn't matter. And when you close your thumb on your hand, there forms a little mountain of flesh right here. So I hope you can see that. So when you close your hand together. Now in the area of where, and we can look at that point, I don't know if we can pull it up really quick, it's called large intestine 4. So the other way that some people like to find it, when you look at the web between your first finger and your thumb, and you kind of go like this, there is that point. Now you kind of have to search for it. And ideally, the direction in which you apply the pressure is across your hand. And that's what often, if you've seen videos about this before, they don't always tell you this, but you're going to find that point and basically you're going to press into that point and it sort of aches. So you're going to sort of feel it in your hand, that aching sensation, but that is just fantastic to be able to massage that in little circular motions with your other hand, go around and around. Fantastic for any type of headache. This is great for tooth pain, so really any type of problem in the head area. This is the master point for the head. It's called large intestine 4. So yeah, in traditional Chinese medicine, it's actually related to your large intestine. Now, isn't this interesting? A lot of people who have headaches often have gut issues. So a great example is if you're constipated, you may get a headache because things in the gut aren't moving through the way that they should. And this is one of the reasons if you massage here, it could not only stimulate the bowel movement, but also getting rid of that headache. So isn't that interesting? So I want you to use that point. It's called Li4 for those headaches. Now tell me, put a 1 in the comments if you've heard this before, if you do this, and put a 2 in the comments if this is new information for you and you will be able to use this to your advantage. It's so fantastic to have you here. I see lots of compliments coming in. Thanks, guys. It's great to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. And we're already at quiz question number 1. Okay, so we are playing for a prize. So today we're playing, and this is what we do every show. So we're going to have 3 quiz questions throughout the show, and you all have the ability to win. So all I want you to do is participate. Even if you don't get the answer right, it doesn't matter as long as you're participating. We take all the names of all the participants and put it into a generator that's going to randomly select our winner every week. This week we're playing for the VitaTree Immune Support from our fantastic sponsors at VitaTree. They support the show and of course make it all possible. So this is what you're playing for. You've got a few opportunities in today's show for quiz questions, so this is going to be fun. Okay, is everybody ready? Here we go. Quiz question number 1. You're going to have 30 seconds on the clock once that question comes up and I'm finished reading it. Name a food high in lectins. Okay, you've got 30 seconds. Get your answers in now. Name a food high in lectins. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Thank you for sharing today's live. I saw that somebody shared right there. Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, you got 30 seconds. Name a food high in lectins. Put it in the comments. Thank you. Good job. I see a lot of people were paying attention. 4 and 1. Good job, everyone. I saw, I think, all good answers. Oh, I see somebody put in Lay's. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Awesome, awesome. Good job, everyone. So yes, quinoa, corn, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, peanuts, cashews, all the good stuff, and of course potato chips I would probably add in there as well. Good job, everyone. You still have a couple more opportunities. There's 2 more quiz questions coming up in today's show, so thanks for participating. Now, I want to congratulate last week's winner of the collagen powder from VitaTree. So congratulations to Flowers Plus Flavors. Yay, you're the winner. So make sure, thank you, that you are following Team Dr. Janine. Congratulations for winning. And again, everybody, you still have a lot of opportunities to answer today. Okay, now let's talk about oat milk versus almond milk. I get a lot of questions about oat milk because a lot of people think that it's the healthiest thing. I get a lot of questions about almond milk as well. And here we go. And we will be coming into the beauty set in just a few minutes, and that's going to be important because I'm sharing a fantastic beauty hack using aloe, which is amazing for puffiness around the eyes, for wrinkles and things. So I have a great recipe that I'm going to show you, and it's super easy to make. It's just 2 ingredients. Okay, so we're going to do that in just a second. But let's talk about oat milk versus almond milk. Now, oat milk, and I've done posts about this, unfortunately doesn't have a huge amount of protein. So if you use milks as, a source of protein in your diet, almond milk may have a little bit more protein, oat milk, relatively no protein. And oat milk can be genetically modified. So when you've heard me talk about glyphosate and genetically modified foods and how this can be really destructive, especially to your gut tissue, this is something that's really important, that you are, avoiding those foods that can be hard on your gut. So that's another reason why I'm not a huge fan of oat milk, because unless for sure the source, that is non-GMO and organic, that's going to be a problem. It tends to be high in carbohydrates when we talk about oat milk as well. So if you're watching your carbohydrates, it is a grain, so it's one of those things that, maybe not the best thing, especially if you've got a leptin resistance, if you have some of these things that we've talked about in terms of your hormones being out of balance and you're trying to lose that weight. And carrageenan, so this is another thing that you've got to look out for. Carrageenan is derived from sea moss, but unfortunately that carrageenan, because of the way that it's been altered, they use it as an emulsifier in different types of plant milks and is really hard on the stomach. So that's something that can be really hard, not only on the stomach, but on the intestines as well. So you've got to watch out for that. That carrageenan could be in your oat milk, it could be in your almond milk, it could be in your dairy, so in your cow's milk as well. So make sure that you're not consuming carrageenan. Now, almond milk, on the other hand, is something that does have a little bit of protein, and it is less allergenic than a lot of the other milks that are out there. It can have that carrageenan, so you want to be aware of that. Just make sure, so here are my tips with the oat milks, the nut milks. Make sure that it's always organic and that it has the least amount of ingredients. So the almond milk, for instance, that I purchase, if I'm not making it, which most times I am purchasing it because of my lack of extra free time in my life, only has the almond milk and filtered water. So that's it. And then you do have to shake it. It doesn't have that emulsifier in it, so it will settle. So you have to shake it before you use it, but it's delicious. And my other tip, of course, is to make it yourself. So you can do that in a blender, put your organic almonds or, whatever you want to add in there. Some people add a bit of flavor like vanilla or whatever, and some water, blend that up, and then you strain it, and then you've got your fresh almond milk. And there are devices, of course, that you can make your own almond milk as well, which is always, you can control those ingredients. That's always the best way to do it. So how many of you love almond milk? Yes, put a 1 in the comments if you love almond milk. Thank you for sharing today's live. It's so great to have you all here today. It's such a fun day, and I'm having so much fun. Now, we will be going to the beauty set in just a second. We have a couple more quiz questions coming up as well. So here we go. Let's talk about the 3 best foods to improve your energy. And no, there's no caffeine involved here, and there's no sugar. Okay, so food number 1 that I love is eggs. Why? Eggs give us protein, healthy fat, so amazing for energy levels. They have choline, which is amazing for our brain health, and of course, giving us some vitamin E as well, which is a natural antioxidant in just the right amount. Eggs are great as giving you all of those nutrients. Okay, number 2 on the list is Brazil nuts. Now, why Brazil nuts? Eating just 2 to 3 Brazil nuts will give you the required amount of selenium, or some people say selenium. And this is such an important mineral that we need for our thyroid health. And of course, our thyroid is our active energy and our metabolism. So that's something that you can do, is just eat a few Brazil nuts every day. 2 to 3 is all you need, because they are quite rich and they're dense in fat, but an amazing source, again, of that selenium. And number 3, shellfish. So this one might actually surprise people. Shellfish, crustaceans, shellfish are high in iron. And one of the best sources of iron, clams, oysters, mussels are particularly good sources of that iron in shellfish. Now, for instance, a 3.5 ounce serving, so 100 gram serving of clams contains 3 milligrams of iron. So that's a pretty good dosage, about 17% of the daily value that is recommended for our iron consumption, which of course we need iron for that proper oxygenation through our cells, our hemoglobin, and of course to give us that energy. So if you want to screenshot that really quickly, those are my 3 best foods for energy. Something that if you're not eating these foods, that is something that is great. Mark, you're saying Brazil nuts, you don't like the taste? Well, yeah, you get used to it. You could also blend it. So you could blend it with things you could make like a Brazil nut milk, and you could put a little bit of natural vanilla extract in there. I don't know. I'm thinking on the fly, but that would be a possibility. And make your own Brazil nut milk every day in your blender. There you go. Maybe that's something I'll try on a future show. Mark, you just gave me a good idea. Okay. Tracy says shellfish is so chewy. Yeah, it depends on the way that you cook it, but yeah, I love my shellfish, and yeah, it can be chewy. Sometimes you just got to swallow it down, and you're good to go. Okay, we are at quiz time. Quiz question number 2. Is everybody ready? I hope so. Here we go. Remember, you're playing for the iron. Here we go. The immune support from our great friends at VitaTree Whole Food Vitamins. We thank them. They are the sponsor of our show. We thank them for making this show possible in the first place. And if you're here for the first time, please put a 1 in the comments. I know that there's a bunch of new people here, and thank you for tuning in today. We do this every week at this time, Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. User 42 something. Thank you. And oh my goodness, so many new people. Thank you. Raina's here. Hello. Great to see you as well. And thanks for tuning in. Okay. And thank you, Tracy. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, quiz question number 2. Is everybody ready? Here we go. True or false? Oat milk is a good source of protein. Okay, you've got 30 seconds on the clock. Put your answers in. Here we go. All right, I see lots of answers coming in. Good job, good job. So great to have you all here. I see a lot of familiar names here, so I know a lot of you are tuning excuse me, tuning in every week, which is amazing. All right, we're almost there. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everybody got their answers in. I saw, I think, only correct answers. And of course, oat milk is not a great source of protein. It is false. Congratulations, everyone who answered. Good job. You still have one more opportunity to answer questions. Now, I do want to have a special shout out to our super fans. So I love all of you. Thank you for continuing to support the show. And it's really with your support that we can actually put a show together every week and bring you more and more content. So I love all of you. Thank you for all of that great feedback that you share with us throughout the week. So not only when I'm here live on the show, but on all of the content that we share as well here at the Dr. Janine Show. So thank you to all of you. But I do want to do a quick shout out to a couple of the super fans that have really, been fantastic over the last few weeks. Love Tropper MC8 and Carol Nakamura. Thank you for all of your support. I truly appreciate all of that feedback and the gifts that you send. It really does, make my day. So thank you so much. It's so great to have your support of the show and of course of all the content that we put together. Okay, now we're going into the beauty set. Are we going to the beauty set already? Wow. So I've got a great beauty hack for you. And this is amazing because this is something that you can do at home. It's 2 ingredients, super, super simple. And I will be answering some of your questions in just a few minutes. So yeah, so we'll be coming back to that in just a second. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna use aloe. And this beauty hack is fantastic. So if you have acne, active acne or acne scars, also if you're dehydrated, if you see dark circles, you've got puffiness under the eyes, this is probably the best thing that you can do, as well as wrinkles, and you're seeing fine lines and wrinkles. This is super, super hydrating to the skin. We know that aloe vera gel is one of the best natural elixirs for any type of skin issue. It heals the skin. It is amazing. So all you're going to do is you can either cut open your aloe and just extract the jelly. You can also purchase the aloe vera. And here we go. And this is just an aloe vera jelly. This is something that we can mix in, okay? So here we go with the recipe. Okay, so we're gonna mix this up, and this is fantastic for any type of skin ailment that you want to eradicate. So whether that's the acne scars, the puffiness under the eyes, this is something that we're going to use that aloe, as I said, and all you need is a tray. So an ice cube tray, it doesn't have to be a fancy one like this one, any ice cube tray. And the first thing that you're going to do is take your aloe gel and put it in the bottom of your tray. So just mixing that in to the bottom. So I just put a little bit in the bottom of each tray, about I'm going to say about a tablespoon in each, for instance. And that is, of course, going to go into the freezer. Then I'm covering that up and just topping up the tray with the water and place that in the freezer until it's frozen. And of course, what comes out is your little cubes. Now, of course, the aloe is at the end and it's frozen and it's a little bit stickier than the actual ice, but then all you're doing, and you can use, a cloth to hold it, and all you're doing is applying that to your face wherever you need it, and just basically use the whole thing until it's completely melted. You're gonna love this recipe. And as an example, I'll just do a little bit on my hand. It is so cooling, it is so soothing, which is amazing on your skin, especially if you've got active acne happening in the moment. That's something that right on contact is going to be a great way to help to alleviate not only the inflammation that's happening with the acne, but it's also feels so good because the aloe is there, it's actually going to heal and really reduce that inflammation of the skin with the acne. And now we're talking about the dark circles under the eyes. I mean, this is a game changer. If you wake up, you had a bad night, you wake up, just do this first thing in the morning before makeup or anything, on clean skin, of course, you will absolutely love it. Okay, so I hope that you're going to use that hack and let me know how it goes. And can you use the aloe on your face without freezing it? Lori, absolutely, you could do that, but the added effect of the ice, because we know that cold thermogenesis is one of those things that actually helps with our leptin signaling, it helps with stress, it helps as that anti-inflammatory effect, so it has even more of a potent effect, of course, when you use it frozen, which is amazing. Okay, we're at quiz question number 3, our final quiz question for this week's show, and here we go. Are we ready? I think we're ready. Okay, this is a true or false. Are we ready? Here we go. True or false? Shellfish is a good source of iron. True or false? Get your answers in. You've got 30 seconds starting now. Let's go. All right. True or false? If you're just tuning in, just take a stab at it. You can maybe win a prize. All right, everybody get your answers in. I see lots of people participating. Thank you for sharing today's live, guys. It's so great to have you all here and sharing with your friends. And a lot of new people here as well today, so thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all the new followers as well. It's so great to have you here. Thank you, thank you. Okay, how much time? 2 seconds, 1 second. All right, everybody got your answers in? I think most of you got it right. The answer is true, yes. Shellfish is a great source of course, iron, which is great for your energy levels. It's one of the things that we talked about. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, today so far what we've talked about is leptin and lectin and the differences. And if you want to see any of the previous information, if you missed it or you want to see it again, just put it in the comments and we'll pull up some of those slides that we showed on the screens. I also talked about the difference between oat milk and almond milk, and I just shared my fantastic beauty hack for the aloe, which is amazing, super easy, just aloe vera gel and some water. You freeze that and you can use that on your skin, which is amazing. I want you guys to all try it because it is great. Okay, Michelangelo wants to see something. What did you want to see? Make sure you guys tell me and I'm going to get that info. Lectin, you want to hear, okay, Jin's Orange Suns, is it the lectin? The foods that are high in lectins. Maybe we'll pull that up really quickly because this is something that confuses a lot of people. And then I can go back and talk about the leptin resistance if you want me to. So let's pull up. And if you do have, your questions, please put them in the comment section and so that we can answer them. And here we go. So the foods that are high in lectins, which can be problematic if you have digestive issues, a lot of inflammation in your gut. This is something that we definitely want to avoid. Of course, quinoa. So as much as it's touted as a health food, if it's not properly prepared and cooked and fermented, which most people don't do that, then it can be a problem in terms of the lectins, as well as raw peanuts and cashews, but peanut butter because it's roasted, I'm going to say because I love my peanut butter, so yeah, I have to qualify that one for sure, is okay. Corn and soy, especially if they're GMO, so these are foods that I tend not to eat, try not to eat them personally, and the nightshade veggies. So again, if you're roasting the vegetables, then the lectin content is going to go down because heat destroys the lectin, so that is a good point. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, so that's important. Okay, happy Independence Day. Yes, hello and happy 4th of July, everyone. Happy Independence Day. I hope everybody's enjoying your day off if you are in the US, and it's great to have you all here that you can just chill and kind of tune into the show today. So it's great to have you here. Please let me know where you're all from as well, which is amazing. Now, if there were other questions, maybe I'll take this really quickly. If there were other questions, please let me know. Rosa is asking that you've heard that it can be not the best thing to use the ice directly on the skin. No, ice on the skin is amazing. I mean, it is amazing because as it's melting, and remember it's aloe as well, so as that's melting down on the skin, yeah, no, it's fantastic. I'm not sure why people would say that, because if you look at the research on cold thermogenesis and the use of ice and cold, amazing for so many different reasons, not just the skin, but for your hormones and balancing your hormones as well, which is great. And hello, Mystical Monique in St. Petersburg, Florida. Nice to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. I know there's more questions coming in. Oh, is it Nijin is asking about PCOS and how to manage PCOS. Yeah, it's something that we have covered in previous shows. Maybe we'll come back to PCOS next week and we will talk a little bit more of that about PCOS. That's a great topic. I know a lot of people suffer with PCOS, women, and there's a lot we can do for it naturally. So that's the good news with PCOS. So definitely we will come back to that. Nice to see you, everyone. Thank you. Rosa, oh, you're from Norway. Wow. Thank you for tuning in. Amazing, amazing to have you here today. That's so good. Oh, thank you. Yes. Everybody's loving the skirt. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Almond versus oat milk. Yes, Kimberly, we did talk about that today. So yes, almond milk, a little bit more protein, make sure it's always, from organic. That's because the pesticides used in the nut industry, unfortunately, is a problem. And make sure that your oat milk or almond milk does not have carrageenan. That's the big ingredient, of course, to avoid, carrageenan. And that is something that's derived from sea moss, but sea moss is healthy, but carrageenan is not because it's been chemically altered and it's used as an emulsifier so that it doesn't separate. So when you buy a good almond milk, this is kind of like one of the things that you can tell, it actually separates because it doesn't have those emulsifiers and the gums and things in it. Or of course, make it yourself. Oat milk, I'm not a big fan of. It can be GMO and there's not really any protein. So a lot of people use milks and things, regular cow's milk as a source of protein, and because almonds and almonds will have a little bit more protein, but oat milk unfortunately has little to no protein. It's more of a carbohydrate, can be very sweet as well, which I find for a lot of people is not a good thing in terms of inflammation and the leptin resistance and insulin resistance and all those reasons as well. So yes, okay, here's a great question. Daniel, love this question. Homemade spaghetti sauce, are the lectins destroyed if you're cooking? Yes, so the cooking process is gonna get rid of most of those lectins from the tomatoes, so yes. So that's a great question. Okay, Curb is asking, what are the best foods to eat if you have low iron but help with weight loss, I'm guessing? So if you're low iron, so we talked about low iron and seafood, which is amazing because not only does it give you healthy protein, healthy fats, especially that DHA, which is important to run your internal battery, but it has the iron as well. And clams, mussels, we talked about, and oysters have a lot of iron. Shellfish as well has iron, so that would be something that we don't typically think of seafood as having iron. We always think a steak is going to have iron, which of course it does, but the seafood tends to be a little bit easier to digest as well, so that's something to keep in mind. Are high protein diets good or bad? That's a great question. Depends. I mean, I like to eat more protein than what I did when I was much younger, and I find that it does better, especially for women and men, to maintain our muscle mass as we're aging. That's really important for good overall health. And of course, we need protein to run so many different systems in our body. So protein is important. Now, high protein, it depends what you consider high protein. So how many grams of protein per day is depending on your activity level, your age, where your hormones are at. But yeah, getting enough protein is really, really important, especially for women, I find, and most of us don't get enough. I did a sort of a tracking thing last week and was tracking my macronutrients, which I really hadn't done with the device, and I was tracking, and I was actually shocked to find out I thought I was eating a lot of protein. I had to up my protein and add in extra shakes, and of course I take my collagen supplement, which I'm thankful for, because if I didn't have those, I would be far below where I actually need to be for my protein intake. Okay, Kathy has a question on thyroid. If you haven't been diagnosed with a thyroid issue and good blood levels still have some of the symptoms, is it okay to take thyroid support? Yes. So this is something that, as a specific question, always send an email to hello@vitatree.com. For some of these very specific questions with health, you definitely want to send an email to and especially if it's product related, you want to send an email to hello@vitatree.com to the experts there. They're really well versed and be able to answer specific questions such as that one on thyroid. But if you have a lot of symptoms that are, and this is something that we've talked about in previous shows about low thyroid, maybe we'll come back to that next week. I think we have to revisit the low thyroid because that is so common, and I know I have like thousands and thousands of questions on anything that I post about thyroid, so that's something that we'll come back to next week in next week's show as well. All right. The aloe, you want to go back to the aloe. Okay, let's go over to the beauty set really quickly and let me show that to you. We're going to pull out the aloe real quick. So with the aloe, all you do is you can cut open. So if you can find, I just purchased this in the grocery store, you can cut this open, and of course the middle jelly part is something that you can just scoop out, and you're going to put that into your ice cube tray. So you just put the jelly, so the jelly kind of looks like this. I don't know if you can see that. Everybody can see that? Yes? Okay, so the jelly is just a clear jelly. You're going to put that into your ice cube tray, any ice cube tray, it doesn't have to be a fancy one. And you're just going to put that into the base of the ice cube tray, and then you're just pouring your water on top, and then you're just going to let that freeze. And of course, once it's frozen, it comes out and it looks like this. So it's a giant cube, ice cube, with the aloe is sitting on the top, and when you feel it, it's cold like an ice cube, but it's like a little bit more sticky because of the aloe, and it has more of a lasting effect on the skin. So when you put that on, and of course you can use this on acne, you can use this on under eye, and if you've got wrinkles and crow's feet, you can really use it all over the face until it all melts down. If you wanted to not use the whole cube the first go, then just pop it back in the freezer, and you can use it again. So this would last you, longer. This is 6 cubes, but it would last you longer than the 6 days. Amazing for the puffiness under the eyes. And the hydration of the aloe is just, there's just something about it. It's so amazing. Great for sunburn. Oh my goodness, this would be like the best thing for sunburn as well. And of course, getting a sunburn. Yeah, something that we've talked about in previous episodes. And yeah, fearing the sun and not going in the sun is not something that I recommend. You got to get out there. Look at my tan. You got to get out there and get as dark as possible, get the most beautiful tan. It's the best thing that you can do for your health. But doing it, of course, in a safe way is something that I share in my episodes. So if you've missed those episodes, I want you to check it out. And can you use the yes for burns? You can, as long as the doctor has said that you're at a stage where you can, apply things to the burn. Absolutely. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me today. That was amazing. Make sure that you do tune in next week, where we will be talking about some of the things like PCOS that we talked about and low thyroid, because we do the show every week at Tuesday at this time at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I continue to send in all your questions and your positive feedback. I love to see, maybe you'll be called out as one of our viewer spotlights, which is amazing. We will be making some protein balls next show as well. So if you're interested in that, we will be in the kitchen and making some delicious protein balls to up our protein. Remember, we talked about getting enough protein is really important. Also, what your pee should actually look like. So this was a very popular post that I did, so we're going to be talking about that as well. And one of my goals, of course, is to always teach you and to empower you over the healing of your own body, mind, and spirit. It was so great to have you all here today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.